Hello and welcome to Fox Sports Lab Round 11. Got the Chief here as always on our Wednesday. Looking forward to Thursday night footy to kick it off, Chief. The punters always want to hear the tally, so I've got you by 7 in the tips.
I don't think they want to hear the tally. What they want to hear are the multis that win, and we had one last week for them, which was good.
$14, so expecting probably the same result this week.
No, probably not.
Probably not. Let's go, though, because the Western Bulldogs back in a little bit of form up against the, what would you say,
Giants.
Flag favourites here at the moment, Sydney Swans. They can't do anything wrong. Number one team for points for and against. They're just dominating. Before I give you my tip, because you think I follow, who do you think wins this one?
Well, they were in good form beating the Giants last week, the Dogs. I thought that was the performance that they needed to have, but Sydney just keep rolling along. You know, the funny thing when you look at Sydney's record, they've only lost one game. You know who it was to?
No.
Richmond.
What?
It was the only game the Tigers have won. It's bizarre, mate. Absolutely bizarre. But they're absolutely flying. They're just humming along. I think it's incredibly hard to go past the Swans.
Yeah, I do too. So that's probably an easy one to kick it off. Then we go to Friday night. So Freo and Collingwood. So no De Goey. He's been ruled out. So based on that, I'm actually going with Collingwood, believe it or not. They're the number one ball movement team in the competition right now, Fremantle. So over the last 6 weeks, they've certainly straightened the ship up. So they're a dangerous team in Perth, as we know, but Collingwood's ball movement, I'm just looking forward to a little bit of fireworks through the corridor. But I'm going with Collingwood. Where do you lean?
Well, I can't believe you said I'm going with Collingwood, believe it or not. They haven't lost for about 6 weeks to go, so it's not hard to sit there and say, gee, I'll go with Collingwood, last year's premier, who's back in awesome form. It's not like you're going out on a limb, Flog. Give me a spell. I am actually going to go with the home team. I'm going for the Dockers. I just have a sneaky feeling that it can't be chocolates every week. It just can't be, seriously. And the Dockers have got to stop being middle of the road and either get up or get out. So maybe this is their first step towards getting up.
Yeah, you were potting them early in the season. You thought they were no good. So where do you sit on Fremantle quickly now? Finals contender?
Maybe can sneak into the 8.
Okay, maybe just qualify. Yeah. Carlton and Gold Coast, this one at Marvel Stadium. So good stat, though. Since round 5, Gold Coast, time in forward half, number one team, and forward half intercepts, number one team. So certainly turned the front end game around. And last week, couldn't believe they scored what they scored up there at TIO Stadium. But Carlton, been in games a long time, but still not getting a consistent 4 points. But who do you lean towards?
Well, I had been a little bit sceptical of Gold Coast until last week because all their good form and all their good stats were against the bottom teams, mate. They hadn't beaten anyone. But all of a sudden they bob up and they beat Geelong and they kick 160-odd points, which is just ridiculous, 150 points. That was a ludicrous score that they put together. In fact, it was 164, wasn't it?
It was.
I don't know. I think Geelong just didn't turn up. They were undermanned. They didn't turn up. They put in a poor performance. I think after a couple of weeks up the top end, or 10 days or so, whatever Brisbane spent, Gold Coast spent up there, I think that's got to take its toll now. They've got to travel down to Melbourne to play the Blues. I'll stick with the Blues at home.
Yeah, I'm going with the Blues as well. So hard to beat at Marvel Stadium. The travel's one thing and coming off a huge win. Geelong and GWS, the Giants, they've lost 3 in a row. So we were talking how strong they were at the start of the season, first 4 games, undefeated.
They've both lost 3 in a row, mate.
Yeah, they have. And probably more the talking point is, though, the Giants, because no one had Geelong up there this year, but when they lost their first game, they've sort of crawled it back a little bit. But talking about the Giants, because they're the big talking point. They were top 4. Everyone's got them as premiership contenders. Where do you sit with this one? Because do you see them turning it around?
It's a tough one. They're not playing well. They're definitely not playing well. The midfield's down. Some of the numbers are down. It's a tough game because Geelong are going like bastards as well. Their last 3 weeks has been average. They got beaten by Port Adelaide down at GMHBA. Now they go back there again. It's hard to tip against them, but I'd like to see something from them. They might get a player or 2 back. I find this a really tough game because you've got 2 teams really struggling for form. I'm just going for the home team in Geelong.
Okay. So funny you said that about GMHBA Stadium, Port knocking them off. They were that far behind, but the Cats can come with big runs. So The tsunami, I think, is going to be down to just a ripple at GMHBA Stadium. So I got Geelong.
So you're not taking any risks?
Well, I was on Geelong. I'm the Cats Comet. I can't get off now. I'm on the Cats Comet.
The Comet burned out, mate, the last 3 weeks.
The Comet's got no flame coming out the back end, there's no doubt. Melbourne and St Kilda. So St Kilda, big disappointment. They're probably the biggest disappointment this year. But Melbourne's not firing on all cylinders.
They were woeful last week. They didn't just get beaten by the Eagles. They got hammered.
Yep. Yeah, they did. But when you look at it, Melbourne, they just can't get their game going. So offense is up, and then their defence is terrible. Then their defence is up, and their offense. So it hasn't clicked yet. But I can't see St Kilda turn this one around.
No, nothing. There's nothing that makes me want to tip St Kilda. I will say this, having Higgins and Butler back into the lineup will be a big help because they had nothing at ground level. So that'll be a big help. Can they beat Melbourne? I just don't think so.
I want to ask you quickly on the Saints. So they made the finals last year. They've only got 3 wins this year. Ross probably not getting a lot of heat right now because he's saying we're not sure where the list's at, but have they had some additions to that team and roster over the summer? Where do you think the criticism should come for Ross right now?
A bit of Teflon Ross. Nothing sticks to him, mate. It's funny because they finished 5th last year, made some list additions, as you said. You expect them to improve, but they've gone backwards in a hurry. So it's one of 2 things. Either something's really wrong with them or they overachieved last year, which might be the case. So, they've got some promising young players, some promising young key position players, particularly up forward, but they're just not firing on all cylinders. And there's no mojo with the Saints at the moment. I think they had the mojo last year. So, there's nothing to encourage you to get excited about their prospects.
Yep, agreed. I'm doing this game in Hobart, so looking forward to putting on my 4 coats down there in Tasmania. North and Port, in a word?
Port. They were dreadful last week. They got out of jail against the Hawks. They got smacked for 3 quarters. Let me tell you, they're only just going to Port Adelaide. Even though they had that good win against the Cats 2 or 3 weeks ago, they're only just going.
Yeah, agreed with that. Now, Richmond and Essendon, I think, apart from pulling the boot starter onto the ground, Richmond, they've got no players left. So Essendon for mine.
You can't tip Richmond.
Hawks at Marvel, hosting Brisbane. They've been a danger team. So they won 3 or 4 going into last week. They lost the unlosable game.
Don't tell me about it. How do you concede 2 goals in the last 30 seconds of play?
I don't know. How do you try and save a game?
Just rush the ball, boys. Seriously.
Tell you what, a fly on the wall while you were watching that game. I was
trying to pull my hair out. I was pulling at a dry scalp last week watching that last quarter unfold. It was horrendous.
It was.
But they have become very competitive and they're starting to scare decent teams. So whilst I can't go all the way and tip them this week, I think they'll take it right up to Brisbane. I mean, the Lions belted up the Tigers last week, but everyone's doing that. Again, another team that had big raps that isn't going that well, Brisbane, but you got to tip them in this one.
Yep, I'm with you as well. And to finish it out, Adelaide Oval, Adelaide and West Coast. So Adelaide heavy favourites, but Harley Reid factor.
Mate, if it was in Perth, I'd just about be tipping West Coast. How good's Jake Waterman's season? He is playing unbelievable football up forward. Harley Reid's doing just incredible things for a first-year player, but got to go with Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, I'm going with Adelaide as well. I'm going to roll in the big call because mine's from this game. So Harley Reid, 25-plus disposals, 475. He had 21 and 2 last week. I reckon he's just starting to warm up, the young fella. And as Adam Simpson said, we've got a new toy. Enjoy. What's your big call?
I'm going to the Collingwood Freo game, and I'm going for a massive upset in that it's Collingwood's turn to lose a close one. I think Freo will get home 1 to 12 points.
1 to 12. Okay. Can't wait to see the odds on this combined like last week. We got $14 on our big calls. So hopefully the punters get some value. Chief, terrific work. Thanks for a little synopsis of round 11 and look forward to seeing you next week.
Shall do.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.